I have so much honor today in introducing our speaker, and everyone must know her. She doesn't need an introduction, yet I will say a few words. Srimati Syamarani Didi is, as we all know, she's a world-renowned artist. Everyone has seen her paintings, and in fact, everyone, not only devotees, but sometimes we're out doing book distribution and they see a poster, people, random people on the street, they say, "Oh, I've seen that." They might not know who the artist is, but they've seen it. Almost everyone, I feel, has seen at least one of her paintings. So not only is she an artist, she's also such a great disciple. You know, she is early disciple of Srila Prabhupada. She met him in 1966, you know, in New York, and she has set the absolute standard of being a topmost disciple. She's completely surrendered. She's a very well-known Shiksha disciple of Srila Gurudev's, and she served both of them so extensively. And sometimes I think, you know, a lot of devotees, we all pray that, oh, I would hope to one day surrender my independence at the lotus feet of my Gurudev. When I see
We all pray
this,
that, oh, I would hope.
oops, I can hear myself. So I see that someone who's doing that day in, day out, Srimati Shamarani Didi, is fully surrendered her independence, her desires, her energy, tan man jivan. She's fully dedicated everything to the service of Sri Guru, both Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev, Srila Maharaj, Bharati Maharaj, Goswami Maharaj. And each day, each minute, she's always engaged in seva, preaching. There's no such thing as prajalpa in her life. Whatever she speaks is always in relation to Krishna, Hari, Guru, and Vaishnav. I personally am so fortunate. Oh, she's also a senior editor, and GVP has been behind all the hard work and so many of our books and lectures that get released on all the tithis over so many years, like 20, 30 years. I was very fortunate. I met her when I was 12, when Gurudev came to New Zealand for the first time. And she taught me my first sloka under Gurudev, Anyabhilashita Sunyam. And till date, I remember that sloka very well, and it's very much associated with her teaching. And she, not only that she teaches everyone, but she gives everyone so much care and attention and so much energy, and engages everyone around her in bhakti. Whoever she meets, she sees, like, how can we utilize this person's talent and energy to serve our Guru Varga? And I've personally witnessed this, that everyone around, she sees, oh, how can we get them engaged in bhakti? Um, and then her Harikatha. I can speak for hours and hours about Didi's glories, but I know we're here to hear from her. So, without taking much time, I will ask Didi Shamrani Didi to please share with us her personal experiences of, um, you know, how she met Gurudev and everything.
Didi, I'll just
That
take 1 minute. I just want to
she,
say for all our Hindi listeners, there is a link for translation in Hindi. जो भी हमारे हिंदी के श्रोतागण हैं, उन सब के लिए हिंदी का जो लिंक है वो मैंने व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप पे शेयर कर दिया है, और मैं कुछ ही देर में यहाँ पे भी शेयर कर दूंगा. आप लोग हिंदी में भी सुन सकते हैं इस कार्यक्रम को. थैंक यू.
over to you, Didi.
Ajnanam timirandasya Jnananjana salakaya Chaksurunmilitam yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tvadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadabhaktaya Namo Namah. First, I offer my unlimited obeisances in the dust of the lotus feet of my most worshipful Diksha Gurudev, Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pad, Astotra Sat Shri Srimati Srila Bhakti-Vedanta Swami Prabhupada, and the same unlimited obeisances in the dust of the lotus feet of my most worshipful Shiksha Gurudev, Nityalila Pravishta Om Vishnupad, Astotra Sat Shri Srimati Srila Bhakti-Vedanta Narayana Gosvami Maharaj, and Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Goswami Maharaj, to all of our Gaudiya Guru Varga and all the assembled devotees. I'm very happy and honored to see you today. Before I begin, I just want to comment that Haripriya's larger than life introduction is due to the fact that sometimes a mother has a child who's blind, but she loves the child so much that she names the child Padmalochan, or lotus-eyed. So there we go. So Haripriya mentioned that I'm going to be sharing some of my memories, and she particularly asked for early memories. So early means I met Srila Gurudev in April of 1992. So we're going now to May, mid-May, and I'm going to share 2 days of my experiences. 2 days, 3 darshans. The first is May 13th. We used to meet with him like three days a week, every other day. Usually it was 10 to 11 or 11:30, or it was while the kirtans were going on in the mud before class, which means like 4 to 5, 5 to 6, depending on the season. So this time we're meeting with Srila Gurudev in his room in Mathura, and he's sitting on his bed / Vyasasana, and he has green heavy curtains behind him. His bead bag is tacked onto the wall with a nail, and there's lots of sounds of Mathura's honking and advertising and horns down below. That's the scene. So this day, Srila Gurudev was sharing with us, a few of us disciples of Srila Prabhupada and some of Srila Gurudev's senior lady devotees. We would go together. So on this day, he's sharing with us about his services to Srila Gurudev, to Srila Prabhupada. He said that he's now here, Srila Gurudev, to give the special gift that Srila Prabhupada saved in the vault of his heart. And this, the teaching of Raganuga Bhakti, this was the final aim and objective of Srila Prabhupada. But he couldn't speak freely at that time because of our disqualification. So he kept things not only in the vault of his heart, but also in the vault of his books. And of course, later, having heard so much from Srila Gurudev, it was also in the vault of his lectures. Although they were for new audiences, everything is there deep within them, which we could see by Srila Gurudev's mercy. Then Gurudev said, many things are not given in Srimad Bhagavatam, but they're given in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And still, so many things are locked and not given in Chaitanya Charitamrita. So one not given clearly. So one needs, he said, the association of pure devotees in order to unlock that. He said, for example, have you heard of the verse, Sarve Pungsa Paro Dharmo? I think many of you know that verse, Sarve Pungsa Paro Dharmo, Chato Bhakti Hoksa Jay, Ohoitaki Apritihata, Jainatma Supasidati, meaning that the highest religion of humankind is to engage in those activities which bring one to the pure service of Adhoksaja, the Lord who's transcendental to all senses. Such service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted in order to completely satisfy the self. So he said, do you know that verse? Srimad Bhagavatam 126. So the only thing I could think of at the time was Prabhupada's example that during World War II, all the mothers and daughters and wives, beloveds of the people, of the men who went into the army, they all went to the church and prayed that their husbands and lovers and sons and fathers would come back alive or well. And when they didn't, then all those ladies said, that proves that God is dead or God is bad. He didn't answer our prayers. So the only thing I could know was what is motivated, not what isn't motivated. So then all I could say was, I don't really know. So Gurudev said, you're an international preacher, you should know. So then I said, well, I guess it means no personal motive. So he said, and what's the topmost example? So totally guessing, I said, Radharani. Gurudev said, how? I said, because she has no personal consideration. Oh, and what are her actions? Well, she feels separation. It's in her expressions. I didn't know a thing about Radharani's pastimes. I mean, I'd heard it, I'd read it, but it wasn't the time up till now for me to get it. So then Gurudev said, during the Rasa Leela pastimes in Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna left all the billions of gopis and took Radharani to a secluded place. He decorated her there, he ornamented her, and then all the gopis were searching for him. And then he left her, and she was also searching with the other gopis. Then he said, even though Krishna sports with billions of gopis, and he tells every single one of them, I love you the most, even though Srimati Radhika knows that, her love does not decrease, rather it increases. In fact, he said, this is the definition of prema. Definition is when there's a cause to break, but it doesn't break, it increases. That is prema, which she's the embodiment of. Then he said, even when Krishna left Vrindavan and went to Mathura and Dwarka and married 16,000 princesses and had 11 children with each of them, and they had so many hundreds of offspring. Still, and after so many years, still Radharani's love only increased. He said, this is causeless, and this is Paramadharma, Savai Pungsam Paro Dharma. This is Paro Dharma. This is the supreme religion. But it's not clear in the verse, in the first canto, second chapter, because it's the beginning of the Bhagavatam. The meaning of Paro Dharma is not given until the 10th canto. I said, oh, really, where? He said, well, 1029, 1021, 1029 to 35, 1047. like when Uddhav came to Vrindavan, 5 chapters on the Rasa dance, Venugit. These are the explanations of that verse, but it can only be given later after the person's gone through all the other cantos and so many years and so much devotional service. So then I remembered, and I'm going to read it to you. Then I remembered something where Prabhupada is quoting Srila Viswanath Chakrabarti Thakur, giving the same principle. But although I saw it, I read it, it didn't hit at the time, and it wasn't meant to hit until that moment on May 13th. Prabhupada writes, Viswanath Chakrabarti Thakur specifically deals, this is the Janmasi Yataha verse. After Gurudev explained the Parod Dharma, he said there's another verse that you don't get the meaning of at the beginning. Then he quoted the very first verse of the Bhagavatam. Janma Jyashiyaton Vayad Itiratas Chote Swabhigyan Swarat Tene Brahma Hridaya Adikavaye Yantiyatasudaya. In other words, it's giving the cause of the creation, maintenance, and destruction. It's explaining that absolute truth as he who makes this material world appear real, even though it's not real. And he first spoke the Vedic knowledge into the heart of Brahma. It looks real even to the great demigods. That's how illusory it is. And he lives, that absolute truth lives in his eternal abode, which is ever free from illusion. Nobody would get the very deep meaning. So anyway, so Prabhupada is giving, because I had a complete flashback on how Prabhupada gave it, but I wasn't meant to get it that time. I was meant to get it at this time. Srila Viswanath Chakrabarti Thakur specifically deals with the original and pure sex psychology, Adi Ras. So Janmadi Yasya Yataha means Adi Ras. The original Ras, devoid of mundane inebriety. The whole material creation is moving under the principle of sex life. In modern civilization, sex life is the focal point of all activities. Wherever one turns his face, he sees sex life predominant. Therefore, it's not unreal. Its reality is experienced in the spiritual world. Material sex life is but a perverted reflection of the original fact. The original fact is the absolute truth, and thus the absolute truth cannot be impersonal. And then he quoted another passage by Srila Viswanath Chakrabarti Thakur in the 5th canto. I won't read it now, but it's basically saying the same thing, that Srimati Radhika, her Madhurya Ras, is actually the cause of everything. It's the cause of Krishna's enjoying the 5 rasas in the spiritual world, and the whole material world is nothing but a perverted reflection of those spiritual relationships. So then I realized, because I had been lamenting for the previous couple of years, that why aren't I experiencing devotional sentiments, pure devotional sentiments? Why do I have so many impurities? And the reason now I just got from Srila Gurudev in this conversation, that bhakti is not an ordinary thing. It's not for ordinary sadhaka abbas practitioners. So everything he brought up to the highest limit. And that was the first part of that darshan. And then I asked him, because I asked him a question that, this was a day or two later. I asked him that Srila Prabhupada his last order to me was to do picture books of all of his books. He gave me this order at the Krishna Balaram Mandir in Vrindavan in 1976, which was the last time I saw him. He said, any intelligent person can read a few words and pick out a picture. So I want all my books in pictures, just like Gita Press has Gita in pictures, Bhagavatam in pictures, and so on. So I want all my books in pictures. So I've been trying to do that for many years and only being a failure at really getting anywhere. So plus by the time I met Srila Gurudev, I didn't even want to paint anymore. In fact, even when I was with Srila Prabhupada, a couple of times I asked him if I could just stop that service and just do book distribution and preaching. And he would write me back a couple of times, no, your specific talent is painting, but you can go on book distribution sometimes, because even in spiritual life, variety makes one more fit for it. But now I really didn't want to. So I asked Gurudev, so what should I do now? Shall I continue painting? Shall I continue this books and pictures project, or what? So Srila Gurudev replied that some instructions of the spiritual master are permanent, eternal, and some are temporary, just for the time being. Like the teacher will teach the student A, B, C. But ABC is not forever. ABC is just at that time. And then it comes to a point where you have to start reading books or understand words, cat, dog, and then see the cat run. You get into sentences. So he said, the guru might give a particular instruction for a particular level that devotee is on. But then when the disciple is meant to develop further, then another instruction comes. So I felt such a relief. And then he said, I felt like a big weight was off me. Then relating to that, he said there are two kinds of bhakti, and they're described in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. One is Vaidhi Bhakti, and one is Raganuga Bhakti. But Raganuga Bhakti is not given openly. No Acharya writes openly about it. He said, therefore, your Prabhupada wrote about it very gently and in a hidden way. Even in your mantras, he said then, there's so many good meanings of Brajabhav. Actually, when Srila Prabhupada gave us the Gayatri mantras, he gave us a one-line translation of each, but it was just like rote memory when we would remember those lines. Then he said, there's so many good meanings of Braj Bhav, but it's all hidden. It's locked in an iron chest with strong lock and key. Just like the father gives a bond, B-O-N-D, to the young child, but it waits for the child to become old enough to not misuse that money. And plus the bond has to mature. So he said, so Prabhupada didn't engage you in a way that he would want to engage you later. And also he referred to Prabhupada's books in general. He said there's always two kinds of thoughts in any mantra, one for Vaidhi Bhakti and another for Raganuga Bhakti. So at that time I was convinced that not only is Prabhupada speaking through everything that Srila Gurudev was telling me and others, but that our whole Guru Varga, top to bottom, are all speaking through him. And then he closed that darshan by saying, if there are different levels of devotees in a room, it's difficult for the acharya to speak to everyone. He can speak something, but really everybody needs their own, the devotees of their own level, so that the acharya can give his everything to that group. He said, and now I'm explaining to you more than your Prabhupada could at the time. And when you advance more, then I can explain more. So then I asked, so when can we see you next? Because the darshan was now coming to a close. He said, I'll be in Vrindavan for 2 days, so you can come then. So the next day, we went to Gurudev's quarters in Vrindavan at Rup Sanatan Gaudiya Math. It was me and Vrindavan Vilasini and Aditya, my god sister Aditya. And then in the middle of the darshan, he stood up and he said, follow me. So where did he take us, three? He took us to the Radha Damodar temple and to Seva Kunj. What's that place? Not Seva, yeah, Seva Kunj. He took us to Seva Kunj and he took us to Sringarvat. They're all in the same neighborhood. And at that time, everything was totally full of rubble. You have to climb over the rubble and the dust in order to get to each place. So in each place, he summarized some pastimes there. He took us to the Bhajan Kutir and Samadhi Mandir of Srila Rupa Goswami. Then he took us to, because we're still in Radha Damodar, he took us to our Srila Prabhupada's room. And he said to us about Prabhupada, who is he? And then we said in unison, well, he's our spiritual master. So Gurudev said, he's my friend, he's my Shiksha Guru, he is Acharya, he is, and then his voice trailed off and you could just feel the depth of their relationships and his memories. And then when we were going to each one of the altars in the various places like Sringarvat, Seva Kunj, Radha Damodar, I found myself in offering my obeisances saying the same mantra in each place, which was Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale to Srila Prabhupada. And although I had been doing that wherever I was for all the years, I didn't notice what I was doing until then. Why? Because I was with Srila Gurudev. And so I said, what exactly do you say when you bow down at each place? So he said, I offer my obeisances to whoever is there at the altar. For example, when I go to Radha Damodar, I say, Anga Shamalim Chatabe Rabito Mandi Kritendi Varam Jadyam Jagudarochi Sambagadatam Patambarasya Shriya Vrindaranya Nivasinam Hridivasat Tamabhiramodaram Radha Skanda Niveshito Dvalabhujam Jayam Damodaram Jayam Damodaram. I'm sure that many of you have heard Srila Gurudev sing that beautiful slok at the beginning of his various classes. And so the translation of that is that I meditate on that Damodar who's wearing a Vaijayanti Mala, a beautiful Vaijayanti Mala, whose complexion is more brilliant than the rain clouds, whose garments are more brilliant than gold and lightning, who lives in Vrindavan, and whose left hand is resting on the on the right shoulder of Srimati Radhika. So he said, that's what I say then. And then he said, what he sees is Krishna and Radha are standing together, and Krishna's arm is going around Radha's left shoulder and kind of slithering down a bit. And both of them are feeling so much pleasure. He said, when you are equal, and he went like this, when you are equal to my this, meaning my heart, then you will know where and when and what I'm doing. When you're equal to my this, in every respect, that is, in all sentiments, then you'll know where and when and what I'm doing. Even, that reminds me of another time, which I'll just deviate from this darshan for a moment. A few of us God sisters and his senior lady disciples were standing around him very close. This was also at Rup Sanatan. He was standing in the middle of us, speaking, so we were all getting close up to hear him. And all of a sudden he said, "You're not seeing me." Because we're just seeing with our material senses, like we see the deity is made of stone or wood. So all of his answers were so satisfying. So now we're on the way back from what I call the rubble darshan, or the rubble walk. We're on our way now back to the mutt. And I asked him, among other questions, so you said, because he said to me just a couple of days earlier, that all the dust in Vrindavan is Radha and Krishna's pastimes. What Radharani tastes, what Krishna tastes, that combination is this dust, what they taste in each other's love. So I said, so is the dust a special Shakti, or is it like all three Shaktis? In other words, Sandini, Samvit, and Hladini, which make up the Swarup Shakti, spiritual world. So Gurudev answered, mixed. All three of these here mix as this dust. This dust has so much power. Then he said, at the time of Srila Rupa Goswami, there were so many Kadamba trees here. And there was Radharani Kunj here, and so many beautiful groves. And Radha and Krishna would sit alone here and engage in so much prem katha. So we're walking. And then finally we come to the mutt, where some other devotees were waiting for him. Jagatarani and his first, forget his name, his first translator from Hindi to English was also there. So I asked him there, since we were in the middle of dust and rubble, I asked him, because I was thinking, I remember Srila Prabhupada right from 1966 in his first temple at 26 Second Avenue, when we were all like just finished being drugged out hippies. Prabhupada would sing and have us sing with him after Mangalarti, Chintamani Prakarasad Mansu Kalpa Briksha Laksha Bhatesu Surabhi Paryantam. So then I was thinking, well, should I, since Gurudev had just said that about the dust, so now I understand, connecting that the dust is also Chintamani. Chinta money means it's like the jewel, that each dust particle is jewels that fulfills all desires. So I was thinking, how can I start thinking like that? How to start? So I asked Gurudev, should I see all these buildings, which like are so dilapidated? I think all of you or most of you have been to Vrindavan, that area. Now things are starting to get modern, but in the 90s they weren't modern at all. Should I start seeing all these buildings as Chintamani? So Gurudev said, very, very interesting answer. He said, you should make your mind Chintamani. And then he smiled and said, then you will see everything as Chintamani. If bhakti will touch your heart, then your heart will be equal to Chintamani. And then you'll see Chintamani everywhere, here and there. And you'll see Goloka Vrindavan everywhere. If the heart is still material, then imagining that, oh, this building is Chintamani, this dust is Chintamani, that will not do. Act, then he said, act in such a way that bhakti will come into your heart, and then your heart will be Sat Chit Ananda. And then I asked him, and this is the process. Then he said, do this if you want that to come. Always remember Krishna's pastimes. Always chant and be detached. In this way, bhakti will come in your heart. And then I asked him, so then automatically we'll get compassion. So he said, at that time, material compassion is transformed into Krishna Prem. Material compassion is not real compassion. So again, and I mean, you all remember how often he would stress that. Always remember the pastimes of Krishna. You know that our acharyas, Jiva Goswami, scriptures say, chant and listen to the sound vibration. And then gradually, all the pastimes, the form, the qualities, the associates, it will all gradually, one by one, come in your heart. You'll realize one, the name, and you'll realize the form, and then you realize the lila, like that. But we find that Srila Gurudev gave a net that, because we're not, at least I'm not, on that level, because as soon as I start listening to the, as soon as I start trying to listen to the name and not think of anything else, I immediately think of everything under the sun and over the sun and sideways. And it doesn't stop. And then I tell myself, no, just here. And again, the next very second, it's all over. So Gurudev gave a net, which he repeated consistently. I mean, in how many cities and countries around the world did he stress this verse, the 8th verse of Upadeshamrita? Tanama rupa charitari sukirtananu. Stay in Vrindavan physically, and if you can't do that, stay there by mind, under the guidance of Krishna's associates and the associates of his associates. In other words, Rupa Manjari is his associate and Rupa Goswami is the associate, the followers of those associates, even though they're the same people. So, and always engage the tongue in chanting and the mind in thinking of the pastimes in relation to the names that you chant. So again, in this case, in the mud, after the rubber walk, Gurudev said to me, so to be Satchidananda, always remember the pastimes, always praying, always serving Radha and Krishna in the mind. Then you'll become pure, and then you'll have real compassion. And then, very interesting, he said, there are two things. One is material and one is spiritual. and they're both living in your heart. Mortal views, mortal body, mortal love, they're both living in your heart. So how to go from mortal to immortal is the thing we want to do. And then he told me an analogy. I guess you would say it's an analogy. That when somebody's bringing a pot of an iron pot or a brass metal pot or a clay pot to the Jamuna to fill the pot with the water of Jamuna, because the pot is dirty at first, when you fill it up with water, the water is going to be dirty. It's like when you start bhakti, the bhakti is dirty, means it's filled with material desires, material motivations. Not that bhakti can ever be dirty, but it's bhakti mixed with dirty things. So he said, so you just keep dunking the water, the pot into the water, and gradually the pot gets clean and the water in the pot gets clean until you can finally fill the pot to the brim with clean water. So similarly, as we're hearing Harikatha, the cleaning process of the heart is hearing the Harikatha of Sri Guru, of pure devotees. And he used this word again and again. The words that he repeated again and again is again and again, again and again, and again and again. And then gradually Shraddha becomes anartha-nivritti. You can, by continually hearing Harikatha in sadhu sangha, and then remembering whatever we heard. I'm just deviating from this day for a moment to go to Badger, when Gurudeva said, I'm speaking to you now in class. If you repeat what I'm telling you with your friends after class, then it will go in your heart. But if you talk about something else after class, then whatever I'm saying will evaporate into the air. Guru is heavy, yes. So he said, I'm back to this date, the 14th of May. So remember whatever we have heard. And then when death comes, you'll take such a birth that bhakti will be easy for you in your next birth. Said so many anarthas are there, so many aparads are there. But when you keep hearing, because now you'll be getting easily the Tattvagya Rasik Vaishnavas Association, and now your body, your views, your thoughts, your sentiments are half mortal, half immortal. And then gradually bhava comes, and then you'll have a immortal internal of realizing within your relationship with Krishna and following Rupa Manjari, Rupa Rati Manjari, or Subal, or Mother Yasoda. That will be realized. And then he started talking about Mother Yasoda. He said at that time, even if you wanted to think of worldly things will not come. That this will come. Just like Mother Yasoda. She knows that Radha and Krishna love each other, but she pretends that she doesn't know. When she sees them, sometimes sitting together a little distance away, she'll immediately walk in the other direction. So they don't see that she was there and she knows. He said, even an ordinary mother and father of this world know something of what's going on with their kids. So what to speak of Mother Yasoda? But then he said, you have to get ready for this to come. Just like just like a little child is not married. A young girl is not married, but she's getting ready. She's playing with toys, a boy toy and a girl toy, and she's making them together in her games. And then it comes to a time when she actually gets married and it becomes real. So similarly, you should get ready for this and just play with that one toy. So are there questions in this Zoom meeting, or how exactly does it work? Hari Priya?
Hey, Priya Didi, are you there?
Huh?
Didi, you can go on talking about your experiences, and if you want to explain about your paintings or whatever Gurudeva has told you, any orders he gave you, any chastisement he did to you, any loving exchanges, all those things you can talk about.
Okay.
Yes.
So there's
So
no questions in this particular type of Zoom? Whatever
questions?
you say is fine. But I can go on, and then if there's any questions, we can.
Yes, later we can see. If somebody wants to ask a question, I will open the mic for everyone.
Okay.
And then somebody can ask it.
All right. So you asked about Gurudev, any chastisement. So one chastisement that I got was in order to make the painting Seva Kunj, I had many, many darshans with him where he would share various pastimes, various moods of them, and even just some secrets within the painting. And then my god sister Aditya, we made tapes of everything, and then she transcribed them, and I collected them all in one place, about 10 pages or so. And then I started putting that on the internet. And somebody told Gurudev, and he was very angry with me. He said, I told you all those things just so that you can do the painting. And then you just spread it everywhere. And a similar thing happened after the painting was finished. Because Gurudev said, all this will come in your heart. And the substance of the painting will come in your heart after the painting. So while I was painting, at that time I was living in the ISKCON temple, and many of my ISKCON god brothers and god sisters, including GBC members, would come to visit me because I lived in the Krishna Balaram Mandir. And so I would blabber everything that Gurudev said to them without considering what would happen by doing that. So then gradually the painting got done, and then I gave the painting to Srila Gurudev on the second floor of the Rup Sanatan Gaudiya Math. And I went back to my room because I was working sometimes like 15 hours a day on the painting. And so then I thought, okay, now I can relax and consider what did I get out of the whole thing? And then I thought about myself, and then I realized, hey, I'm the same person I was before I started the painting. So then I went back and asked Gurudev about that. And he said, yes, I told you so many secrets, and then you opened up the box and let it all out. Isn't that a sad story? But he also said, when I handed him the painting, that because fathers are always encouraging to their little baby children, oh, you're so intelligent. So when I gave him the painting, he said, when Ramananda Rai, when King Prataparudra went in ordinary clothes to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when he was resting in a secluded place during the Rath Yatra festival. He was singing the Gopi Geet, and Mahaprabhu woke up and said, who is giving me such nectar? Then he embraced Ramananda Rai and he said, what can I give you for this? I can give you my very self. So Gurudeva was saying that, so I'm doing that. Then he said, thank you, thank you. And then catching his words, he said, there is no thank you when one is near and dear. So he was hard as a thunderbolt and soft as a rose. And then at the end, I asked, why did this painting take so long? He said, because I had to push my will through your will. Therefore, there was some difficulty. He had to push his spiritual will. But he did say when he first asked me, I think this is a famous statement. He did ask me when he was first asking me to do the painting, can you paint my heart? So he accepted that painting is his heart. And he said there's no value limit to that painting. But then when I did that was in 1993. And then when I did the Manani Radha, Radha is facing away from Krishna, there's some tears, profile, and Krishna is sitting behind her. Gurudev said, I like this painting even better than the Seva Kunj painting. And he gave me one instruction at the end. He said, Radharani looks like a Haka Brajabasi. And he told me to improve Krishna, which I did. And then he gave one suggestion at the end, which is to put a dimple on her, by her elbow, which I did, and you'll see the dimple there, and that came from Gurudev. And he said, yes, this is what a girl does when she's angry. She scratches the ground with her nails, and that's what Radharani is doing. So yeah, he gave so many instructions on the various paintings, like with Venu Geet. It was very bewildering at the beginning because he said the gopis are in their home and they're seeing Krishna out in the forest, with their eyes of emotion. So paint Krishna out there and the gopis out there, but they're in their homes. I said, how can I paint them in both places if they're in their homes? So I learned that Gurudev gradually, he made me understand that although they're in their homes, they entered the place that they were talking about. They entered the place where the husband deer was following the wife deer, and they were envious of the deer because their husbands would stop them, and the wife deer was actually followed to Krishna by the husband. And they went to the place where the rivers were offering the lotus flowers with the hands of their waves, the place where the birds were sitting in their hermitages made of, that they found the most lush place on the branches of the trees to sit and listen to Krishna's flute playing, because if they would faint, then they wouldn't fall off the tree. They would just fall onto that bunch of leaves that was their hermitage. So, and that's also the last verse of Venu Geet, which is that they became one with their utterances, and ended up, the mantras became in their heart, and they went into the heart of their mantras, and they ended up in the place. And then I asked Gurudev, because he was explaining that, he's telling me to make Balaram and the elder cowherd boys way up in front, and Krishna's in the middle, sharing, I think you all know the painting. Krishna's in the middle, sharing sidelong glances with Radharani and the gopis. And there were some cowherd boys in the back. So as I was bringing the sketches, and then gradually the color sketches, and then gradually the painting as it was beginning, whenever I would bring it to show him, he would give more information. So he said, like, Balaram should be looking, even though he's walking ahead, you could tell by his eyes that he's knowing what's going on in the background. And I said, so how come he's carrying a buffalo horn? Isn't that violence to the buffalo? So Haripriya, what did Gurudev say?
There is no violence in the spiritual world. This was made out of leaves, and I think leaves.
Leaves, yeah.
That's
The
what I remember.
buffalo horn was made from leaves, just shaped like a buffalo horn. And then I said, well, what about Krishna's flute? If you say that Krishna's flute was tucked into his belt, then you have this hard piece of metal tucked into your belt, and doesn't it hurt your skin? So do you remember what Gurudev said, Haripriya?
I remember hearing this from you, but yeah, I don't, not exactly. I have a feeling, but not exactly. But, so you
Okay.
can,
He said, everything is so soft,
yeah.
so it doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
We can't imagine, as it is here, putting our mentalities on there.
Yeah.
Let's see if there was anything. Oh yeah.
And
What
then
else?
even the jewelry,
What?
even the jewelry is all made out of flowers.
Exactly. Right. Right. So, do you remember what Gurudev said about the cows?
What about the cows?
How they were drinking and how to paint the cows' ears?
Cow's ears. I remember the horse's ears. Cow's ears, I think they're like up
She's remembering the horse's ears because when I
from
did
the
the painting of Bhagavad Gita, Gurudev actually posed for the horses. Because, the horses in the Bhagavad Gita, they're like that, and their eyes are crossed, and Gurudev posed for that. And when I came back and showed him it wasn't good enough, he posed again. And he also posed for the horses because they were jumping up, like, let's go already. They were ready to go, but Krishna's in the middle of speaking Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. But regarding the cow's ears, yeah, you were getting close. Gurudev made his hands go up, and he said the ears are like cups.
right.
Drinking. And what about the grass?
I remember this as well. I think they're chewing on the grass, but they're so stunned, so even the grass is like they're not conscious, and the grass is falling, something like that.
Not falling, and it's not being swallowed. It's just hanging.
Hanging, yeah, just hanging. Yeah.
And what about the calves?
The calves, they're drinking the milk, but even the milk is falling because they're not. It's the same, not going in.
Yeah, they were drinking, right. They were drinking the milk from the udders of their mother, but hearing Krishna's flute and seeing his beauty, the milk just dribbled down
Yeah.
the two sides. Let's see, another painting would be the Manjaris with pink, wearing pink. And she has a blue, like a blue transparent dupatta. Gurudev said that not only does Radharani and the gopis made Krishna faint or almost faint, but even the manjaris do. So this particular manjari, he said to make her braid kind of like wavy and flying, and make the end of the braid like a what, Haripriya?
Um,
Is it like a snake?
Yeah, like the mouth of a snake.
which
And that
painting?
snake,
I can
Huh?
show the paint. Which painting are you talking about right now? Because I can show
in
the.
pink,
Manjaris.
the first one.
Oh, manjaris. Okay, which manjari?
She's wearing pink. She's number one.
With the chamar?
No, she has the plate,
Okay.
carrying
Okay,
the plate of fruit, and her
Okay.
hand is,
Radhika is showing there.
yeah, it's that first one.
Okay.
Not her,
Not her. Okay, let's
first
see.
one. Not her,
Not her.
not her, not them.
Round Manjari, yeah.
None of the above.
None of the above. Okay, so all right, here we go.
Her, the first one.
Yeah, nose manjari, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh.
the
Look at her
mic-
braid. She's talking just like a snake.
Yeah, so like that, he said to do that. And that snake bites Krishna,
Oh.
and Krishna becomes unconscious or almost unconscious.
Okay.
And then he said to put what's in everybody's plate. He said what to put in that plate.
Okay.
And in the fourth one, if you want to move over to the fourth one, I don't suppose you can make it closer, but he said one of the items on the plate would be holding
Can you zoom it?
There we go. I don't know. That one wasn't zooming, but this
There
one.
you go. This white silver one, you can
Oops.
see that there's two peacock feathers.
Yes, yes.
Yes, right here.
He said to make a guru and kumkum and musk. And then the way that the manjaris apply the unguents on Radharani is with a brush or with the edge of the peacock feather. So he said to put the peacock feather there.
Wow.
So many details came from him. And at that time, my godbrother Tamal Krishna Maharaj, sometimes they would come and visit Gurudeva, and sometimes they would come when we girls would come. So he was also looking at the manjaris, and he saw that sometimes the nose ring would cover part of the mouth. So he said to Gurudev, that's not right, right? It shouldn't be covering your mouth like that. You have to have a nose ring like that. So Gurudev said, without nose ring, one cannot be a gopi.
Uh-oh.
What does that mean? Time's up?
No. Sorry, Didi. That was my phone. My phone rang, and I'll mute myself. If you want me to show any particular painting, just let me know.
Okay. Well, I think you all by now know the story of the final painting, which Hari Priya helped me finish.
I did not.
I think you all saw the videos that we did telling the stories of that. But there's no need to tell the story of that because I think everybody's heard me tell the story of that.
Sorry, Didi. Shall I show you show that painting?
You can, yes, but I'm sure everybody here.
So what we can do is because that will take a long time. When we finish, and we don't want to keep you too long, so I can speak a few things from my memory.
Okay. But he also told me another painting to do, which I never did. At the same time that he requested me to do that Kunja Kirtan painting, he said to do another one of There's one verse in Valapakus Manjali where Radharani is going, in the purport, it says that Radharani is going to meet with Krishna at a certain kunj, but as soon as she sees him, she immediately becomes indignant and starts walking back to her abode, that is to Radha Kund. And so Krishna is trying to stop her, and sometimes he's trying with brute force, and sometimes with plaintive appeals. So I made a drawing of that and showed it to him, where Krishna is kind of like that, trying to stop her. And Gurudev, when we were in Houston, actually, last time he was in Houston, Gurudev spread his arms out and he said, Krishna is going like this, spreading his arms fully out to block her path. So we see so much of Gurudev's instructions there. And that reminds me that back in the Seva Kunj days, when I finished the painting and they put the painting in the altar on the second floor of Rup Sanatana Gaudiya Mutt, the doorways that the devotee made, constructed a doorway around it. I think many of you have seen that doorway. It's very small. You kind of have to stick your head in almost to see what's on the sides. And so I said, can you ask him to make the doorway bigger? It was already made, but can you ask him to make the doorway bigger because you could hardly see anything? It's a big endeavor. So he said, oh, you want to make this easy to see? You want to make this an ordinary thing? Then it will become an ordinary thing. Even Brahma and Shiva cannot see this. And you want to make it so easy to see. Later on, that was in 1993. In 2007, he had a complete change because I came to him with one of the, with a designer who made posters, and he was just coming to Gurudev, and he wanted to make posters of all the paintings that I had done, namely, by then it was Radha alone, Manani Radha, Sevakunj, the Manjaris, maybe one or two of Venugit. So I told him how Gurudev was so cautious and didn't want us to, in fact, he personally told me, don't put this in Roy Bazaar. So then when we went to Gurudev, it was in Govardhan, and he was sitting on his bed / Vyasasana. He said, yes, spread them everywhere. I want it in everyone's heart. Even the Manjaris, door to door, everywhere. And I asked him, what about butchers and meat eaters? He said, everyone will get Sukritis and they'll gradually come to Sri Guru, which reminded me of what Prabhupada had said about the paintings, which is that anyone who sees these paintings will become devotees, and that is our aim. Did I mention about the net and the network here?
Network.
The net of chanting Hare Krishna and...
No.
I did not?
No.
Okay, so a couple of days earlier than these 2 days, I was talking about May 13th, May 14th. So a couple of days earlier than that, that's when I was first asking about the dust. I said, is the dust pure devotees? And Gurudev said that every atom of dust is Balaram. I'm sorry, Prabhupada had said that. And so I was asking about the dust. He said, no need of becoming pure devotees. Every atom of dust is ras. Ras means what Krishna tastes and what Radharani tastes. And then he quoted a verse. I said, well, all right, so that's the dust. What about the air of Vrindavan? How do we see the air? So Gurudev quoted the verse, Yasha Kadapi Vasananchula Kela Nota Tanyati Tanya Pavanena Kritartamani Yogindra Durga Magati Madhusudanopi Tasya Namostu Vishabhanu Bhugodhisheki. Which means that Radharani and Krishna were at Radhakund. And as usual, Krishna committed an offense. So Radharani wouldn't speak to him, and he was begging and begging, and she refused even to look at him. So he went to the other side of Radhakund and lamented. And so the air decided to do some service, because everything is fully conscious there. So the air went underneath Radharani's veil and then carried her fragrance. And because just like Krishna's name and him and everything about him is absolute, same thing with Radharani. So her fragrance is non-different from herself. So the air carried the fragrance to the other side of the kunj and went underneath Krishna's nostrils. And then he thought, oh, now my life is successful. I've attained Srimati Radhika. So the verse says, I worship the direction of the lotus feet, the dust of the lotus feet of Srimati Radhika, who Krishna getting a scent of her fragrance, that same Krishna Madhusudan, whose lotus feet can barely be meditated upon by the greatest yogis, even Brahma and Shiva, Narada, that same Madhusudan felt his life successful by getting some of her fragrance. So then Gurudev said you could chant, you can think of that verse when you're chanting your japa. He said, you mean when we're chanting at the same time, we can think of that verse or any verses? He said, yes, and another one you can think. And then he quoted, Purna Pulinda Urugaya Padabjaraga, about the, that's about the Pulinda girls. You know, they're kind of laborer girls, beautiful, but not like the gopis. And when they see in the morning, because we're back to the dust, right? So they see Krishna's, the dust of his feet mixed with the kumkum from the gopis' breasts, which are now mixed with the dust of his feet when he goes home in the morning. That mixes with the dew on the grass, dew, D-E-W, the dew on the grass, because now it's like a paste. And the Pulinda girls, they become overwhelmed with calm, and they wipe the paste all over their faces and bodies, and then their calm becomes reduced, and they feel like they themselves embraced Krishna. So Radharani is envious of that Pulinda girl, and she's thinking that I want to take birth in my next life as a Pulinda girl, because my in-laws always stop me when I want to go and meet Krishna. But not only could the Pulinda girls care less whether their in-laws stop them or not, their in-laws don't even stop them. So they're so much more fortunate. Radharani didn't consider that the kumkum on Krishna's feet, mixing with the dew, came from her. because this is the madness of prema. So Gurudev said you can think of any appropriate shloka that deals with Krishna's pastimes and prayers for service while you're chanting. So I mentioned the net because generally we hear and read, just chant and hear, just concentrate on the name. But as I mentioned, when I chant the name, it goes all over the place, and mine goes all over the place. So Gurudev gave the net of think of the pastimes, think of the prayers of our acharyas while chanting. And that way, when we slip from the name, we have a net to fall into. So I think that it's just about 9:30 now, my time. Are there any questions from anybody?
I think I'll open everybody's mic. If anybody wants to ask any question, you can do it. We have 5 minutes. I think we can wait. I want to ask Didi, how was your experience? You said you were painting 15 hours continuously.
I'm sorry?
That's a lot of time. You said you were painting 15 hours continuously.
A lot of days, yeah.
That's a lot of time. And how was your experience? Like you were in a different world while painting?
Well,
it's a lot of meditation.
Well, while I was painting, I always listened to Srila Gurudev's tapes. I mean, at those times we had tape recorders, the olden days. So in 1991, 2, Gurudev was giving Vilapakus Manjali classes to my god brothers, and sometimes my god sisters were also there. So I had lots and lots of rasic nectar. Also, he had given lectures on Rasa Leela, Ragvartma Chandrika. So I had a lot of nectar. And just like when I was painting for Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, I used to listen to Prabhupada's tapes the whole time. So similarly, when I was painting that and the other paintings for Srila Gurudev, I would listen to his lectures. And one day, because while I was painting, I was really having a hell of a time because nothing came out right. That is, I would paint, say, Krishna's dhoti at night. I would look at it at night and think, yeah, it looks good. And then I'd come in the next morning, oh God, it looks terrible. And I'd have to paint it over. And so there's like about 10 dhotis under the one you see, 10 faces under the one you see, so on and so forth. And it never looked like the scene. It always looked like paint. So one day, Srila Gurudev called me to Mathura. He never used to call on me except once in a really rare blue moon. So that day he called me and he said, I wanted to make in the shadows kinkaris looking in. And don't make it what he was fond of calling heebie-jeebie. Don't make it congested. Whatever comfortably fits, put them in. Looking, and in that way they, whenever they see Radharani, whatever comes onto Radharani comes onto them. And by looking in, they also know exactly when the moment will arrive for them to come in and do their seva. Like if Radharani says to Krishna, paint my feet, or you messed up all my hair and my ornaments and my clothing, so decorate me again. So then she says that, because that's really what Krishna wanted to hear. So then the manjaris know that it's time to come in. Anyway, so they're looking in. And even though I would bring, yeah, there they are. Even though I would bring Gurudev the painting as it was developing, and the sketches as they were developing, I would automatically come. But this time he called me. I was in Vrindavan, as I mentioned, Rupsanath and Gaudiya Math. I'm sorry, Krishna Balaram Mandir. This time he called me to Mathura and told me to put these manjaris in. So as soon as the manjaris were in, everything in the painting started manifesting. And just, it was like the painting, there's one more Haripriya. There's one more way at the end on that side. Maybe you got her. Way at, not at Krishna's end, but at Radharani's end. But I think everyone here already has seen them all.
Yeah, there.
Does this picture not go to the end of the painting? I guess not. Anyway, there's another
Oh,
one.
I'm sorry, Didi. I was muted, but it's actually cut off. Like it's
Okay.
oh no, there she is. Okay.
There she is.
Okay, let's see. How do I move this? There. Oh, there she is.
There she is.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So as soon as the manjaris were in, the painting just happened like automatically. And that showed me that by the mercy of the manjaris, meaning how they appeared as acharyas in our disciplic line, then everything is revealed and by following them, by having them deeply in our lives and remembering them always and surrendering to them. As a matter of fact, in this darshan, when Gurudeva was talking about mortal and immortal, he said, when we fully surrender to Guru, that's when things start happening in the heart.
Wow.
Any last question? Or is that time's over?
Do you want to quickly show your?
Huh?
Can you just take a few seconds to show your book, the latest
Oh,
art book, or will it take too long?
well, it depends on how much I show. It could take an hour. Did you ever see it?
I haven't seen it in
No,
person.
you haven't seen it in person. All right, hold on 1 minute.
For those that don't know, Syamarani Didi's latest project, Seva project, which has just been completed, she made this art book of every single piece of art that she's worked on, and also worked on in groups. There's, I think, 400 different paintings in this one huge, heavy book. That
All right, so that's sorry. So in 2006, Srila Gurudev told me to make an art book of all the paintings that I did for Srila Prabhupada and himself. And he told me that 4 times. And one time he told me, one of the 4 times, he said, so show 1 copy to the president of India, because the president gave an award to one artist named Kanai. But if the president sees your work, oh, what will he do? So here's the cover. It's so heavy, it weighs 5 kilos.
Wow.
wow.
This is the box. And then maybe I can go like that. So you don't see me, but you just see the book. That's what I'll do. So then it pulls out, very interesting because it's so heavy. You go like this, and then the book comes out. And then it has, can you see it?
Yes.
It has paintings that we did for Bhagavad Gita, and then the next section is Srimad Bhagavatam. So there's a glorification. Whenever we have Prabhupada's paintings, we have quotes from Prabhupada's books. And whenever we have Gurudev's paintings, we have quotes from Gurudev's books. So then we have the Bhagavatam with different sections. Like this, you can see the section is on creation, then a section on Krishna's incarnations and associates, incarnations like Lord Nrsimhadev, and then another section called Krishna's personal pastimes from his birth, and he grows up, then meets the gopis, and then all the pastimes of the gopis. It even has an interesting bookmark of Radha and Krishna on the bookmark. And then comes Chaitanya Charitamrita, and then moving on, then we come to Srila Gurudev's gallery, and then we come to first paintings, the paintings like Bhagavad Gita. Here's where Gurudev posed for the horses. And then, more paintings. Sometimes there are close-ups. There's Venugit, and there's Balaram's Shringar, which is actually made of leaves. And then sometimes there are close-ups, Bhagavat Arka, Marichi Mala. And then Manani Radha. And then there's really nice descriptions from Gurudev's books of each of the paintings. The printer was so good, Samrat printer in Delhi. Everything came out so nice. And then there's a big pullout of Sevakunj. Oh yeah, Haripriya, you were there when I did the interview about Sevakunj, right? Yeah. So this is this big giant pullout, which is about 40 inches of Sevakunj in the Manjaris. And then there's the line drawings for Gita Govinda with little, very rasic quotes from the Gita Govinda. And then there's a whole section on the bashu leaves, which includes the story of how we all climbed onto the rafters at Giridhari Gaudiya Math, and then shows samples of the various.
I'm just realizing that we can hear stories for each of your artworks as well as the bas reliefs for hours and hours, because like even just the bas reliefs in Govardhan, there's so many long pastimes that happen behind that. So
Yeah.
time is short. That's so unfortunate.
Okay, so we'll end there, but then it shows my earlier works, like when I started in 1966. And then we give a sample of each of the other, because I wanted to show that Prabhupada didn't only empower me, but he had so many artists. So I give one sample of each of my contemporary BBT artists, and then one sample of each of the GVP artists. And then this is one of the best ones, Manjari. She got empowered by getting cookies from Prabhupada when she was a little kid. And then Gurudev empowered her further. And then comes the stages. This is especially of interest to artists because we have the stages of how, and the stories of how a painting develops from the idea stage to the color sketch, tone sketch, how people model, and then and then sometimes we have other devotees assist, and then this is the Kunj Kirtan, the final painting, with each of the steps from the beginning to the end. And that's about it in a nutshell.
Didi, have you presented this to the president, as you were saying?
Well, so far not, but some influential devotees are trying to make that happen.
Okay.
And so far we gave it to, 2 days ago, we gave one to Hema Malini, who was a former very famous Bollywood actress, and now a member of the parliament.
Oh, Hema Malini.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she got one. And she even talked about it the next day on the news program. And we gave one to Swami Vigyanananda, who's in charge of the whole Vishwa Hindu Parishad of the whole world. But let's see what happens. We're leaving on the 23rd to go back to America. So we'll see if it happens or not.
Okay, great.
Okay, so we'll end here. Thank you very much for your association and inspiration. And Panchakovichurubhyascha Kripasinubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo.
Thank you, Didi. Thank you so much. It was so interesting. And you presented Gurudev's heart to a whole world, I think, which is not possible for ordinary people like us to see any part of Gurudev's heart. But you presented it openly to whole world on paper, on canvas. It is such a beautiful thing, I think. Gurudev could come in every house because of you. He's in each and every house. So thank you, Didi, so much. Thank you. It's really nice having you here. We'll talk more. You can leave, Didi, because it's late. And I think Haripriya Didi can say something more about you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Didi. Dandavat. Okay, Hare Krishna, Prabhu. So I'll just share a few things. Didi, actually, first, because Didi said she just met Hema Malini. I think it was yesterday or day before, so I can share that picture. Can
nice.
everyone see that?
Yes, yes. If you can enlarge it, is better.
Sorry, I'm
Yes,
so
yes.
bad at this, but okay. I think, is that better?
Yes. So this
Yeah.
was in Delhi?
No, this is in Vrindavan, actually. Apparently, Hema Malini owns a house there in Vrindavan.
Yes, yes, yes.
And so here she's actually
In temples.
in the temple.
All around the world.
Can you hear that?
See, I'm trying to create this kind of an atmosphere when I perform. How much time you took to make this painting? 57 years. 57.
She's been painting since 1966 under the guidance of Prabhupada, and she's been receiving letters from Prabhupada as a direction of, what.
Okay. So, yeah, that was just her meeting with her yesterday. Actually, Vasanti was telling me that she was so impressed by Didi's paintings, and she asked many questions, and she was really happy. So the caption was one MP at a time. So hopefully they'll be able to give this to the Prime Minister very soon. So I just wanted to summarize a few things about Didi and also my personal experience with her. I've been really, really fortunate to have had some time with Didi and under her, and she's engaged me in small sevas just for my just to like almost just entertain me, because anything I've done for her, like, it's so insignificant, on the painting itself, the Kunj Kirtan painting, she had me work on small flowers, and so I'll share that. But I just wanted to comment on a couple of things. I think you all just noticed Srimati Didi's memory. She spoke mostly about two of her like darshans with Gurudev, her first two darshans, out of thousands. I mean, she was at every festival, every program. She did not leave Gurudev's side. She was with him for 20 years. She went everywhere. And she remembers everything. And this is not because she has to speak today, she made notes. I can speak from experience, because whenever we ask her any question, her answer will be always, Srila Prabhupada said in 1972, June, in this place, blah, 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 blah. Srila Gurudev said in 93, in Vrindavan, in August, like to the date, time, she remembers everything, and her answers are always from Prabhupada and from Srila Gurudev or from Shastra. Nothing is coming from her own, she doesn't speak about herself, her experience or her own interpretation or her own anything. It's always from Shastra, or from Guru, from Gurudev, or from Prabhupada. Everything. And of course, Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Goswami Maharaj also in the last years that he was on planet, she was associating with him also. So, and she has so many stories with him also. So her memory is just incredible. She will not also share. She has this WhatsApp group where she shares so much nectar. It's called the group is called Nectar with Syamarani Didi. So I can maybe share that on. It's all on her Facebook as well. But she shares so many amazing things every single day, and everything she shares is again has to have this perfect reference. I shared with her some quotes. I remember last year when she was in Houston, and she was so happy with these quotes. But she said, "Oh, I will share this in my group." I said, "Great." Then she said, "Okay, please tell me who it's by, where it's written." So I gave her that information. She says exactly which book, which page. So everything she gives is so perfectly referenced and it's so literal. She will not, there's no, nothing vague about anything she shares, whether it's by words in her group or whether it's in Harikatha, whether it's in a simple informal discussion that she's just sitting at home. There's no nothing vague. It's just so perfect and so pakka. And of course, her memory, she remembers everything. I was just thinking, in her first darshan of Gurudev, she remembers the color of the curtains. She remembers where his bead bags were hung. She remembers the sound of the traffic. This is
Amazing.
Didi. This is amazing, and this is so Didi. She remembers everything to do with Gurudev, Prabhupada, and anything Krishna consciousness. And anything unnecessary, she has no recollection. It's amazing, And even whatever the essence she took from Gurudev, we can see that his words, she shared his words and his teachings so perfectly. And so she understands that, and she just draws each word that she hears from them, she draws that and fully imprints that in her heart. And that goes for every darshan she's had with him over the years, and she remembers just everything. Another thing about Didi is that Gurudev called her Question Rani because she asked questions all the time. Even we can see in Walking with the Saint, in so many videos, she's always asking questions. There is absolutely no room for any doubt or any interpretation. She doesn't leave any room for that. Everything has to be established perfectly. The truth has to be established. So if she has any doubt at all, she asks the question. So, and that's for the benefit of all of us, So Gurudev called her Question Rani, and so many times he glorified her so much that she's more than any sannyasi. She said that so Radhika just shared her website, The Art of Spiritual Life, and I'll speak about this book as well. Just one thing is she mentioned that she was so tired of painting. She didn't enjoy it. In fact, even now sometimes you ask her about it and she says, "Oh, I hate it," the fumes but still she pushes, like she said, Gurudev pushed his will through hers. So always, because she's such this transparent instrument in the service, to be used in their service. No will of her own, nothing at all. Even though after she met Gurudev, she didn't want to paint again, but she came out with her most amazing masterpieces after that. And her last painting, this I'll share this. Okay, everyone can see that.
Yeah.
So this is Kunj Kirtan. She worked on this for 10 years. So she spoke about how Seva Kunj took her so long, and she asked Gurudev, like, oh, why did this take me so long? Seva Kunj took her 6 months, which is a long time for her. And most of her other paintings, 1 month, 2 months, like very quick in in relation to this. This took her more than 10 years to do. Of course, on and off, but it started in, I think, in 2009 or 2008 in China, first time. And there's a video that when Vasanti shows Srila Gurudev the first kind of idea sketch of this. So I can speak a little bit about this painting because Didi was actually in Houston for the last 6 months when she finished this painting. So this is the origin of Kirtan. This is the Kirtan that's happening in the Kunj with all the gopis and Krishna. So the main thing is this pastime is from Sri Vilap Kusumanjali by Raghunath Das Goswami, and it's the whole description of this Leela is in verse 3. So just one verse is what this whole painting is based on. So here we see Radha and Krishna and all the gopis. And if we look very closely, there's something happening right here. Do you see that, Radhika? Yeah? So
Can you show
basically,
with a pointer?
how do I get a pointer? Is there a...
No, with the same cursor, you can,
oh,
we can see the
yeah.
cursor.
You see that? You see that? Is that working? Like, right?
Yeah, that's what's happening. I don't know.
So here, this is Rati Manjari, and she's tying the belt, the mekhala of Radharani. Can you see that? There's a blue string in her hands. You see?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is called the Pranaya Mekhala of Radharani. So what happens is that after when Radharani comes out of the kunj that she was with Krishna, and then she comes into this assembly with all this is Ashtashakis and 4 manjaris. There's total 12 gopis and manjaris here. Then she sees that, she notices that, oh my God, my belt is missing. But she only with her eyes, she doesn't want to say this out loud, and she very quickly wants her to get her belt before the gopis notice that it's missing. So only with her eyes, her 2 most intimate associates are Rati Manjari right here. Can you see my pointer?
Yeah.
Okay. And then over here behind Lalita Devi, you can see with a very cheeky smile, that's Roop Manjari.
Wow.
So right behind Radha is Roop Manjari and Rati Manjari. So just with her eyes, she's signaled to Rati Manjari, go and quickly get my Mekhala. And Rati Manjari knows exactly where it is. Only the Manjaris know exactly where everything of Radharani's is because they are allowed everywhere. They're allowed even in the kunjas. Even the other gopis are not allowed, but the Manjaris are allowed. So then Rati Manjari goes, she gets up and she says, oh, I need to go and get more flowers. So then she quickly goes, and while Kirtan is happening, she comes and she ties this on Radharani and no one, all the other gopis are just completely mesmerized by Krishna and Radha and Krishna and their interactions. You can see that all the gopis, they're looking at Krishna and Radharani. So so we can start from this far left, this gopi in this maroon here. Sorry, she's a Manjari, and this is actually Didi doesn't openly tell everyone, but this is Srila Prabhupada in his Manjari form. And
What's the name? I don't know.
I think Didi can maybe one day you can ask her because I can't share. I'm not supposed to, I think. So anyway, so then that's Srila Prabhupada, and then to the right of her is Tunga Vidya. So Tunga Vidya is actually the Mridanga. Isn't Tunga Vidya the Mridanga teacher? Is it Indulekha? I don't remember.
Yes, she is. Tunga Vidya, I think.
Tunga Vidya is, she plays mridanga, and she is actually the mridang teacher. So all the gopis have like their special talents, although they're talented in everything. But it's really interesting to hear about each of their talents. Like Lalita Devi is so expert at making fireworks, and so many other things like that. I mean, Lalita Devi is talented in many things, everything, but she makes amazing fireworks. And all this is described in Radha Krishna Ganodesh Deepika. So this is Tunga Vidya. Then again, and down here on the ground is Chitradevi. So Chitradevi is she's a transcendental artist, and Srila Gurudev told Syamarani Didi that she is your guru, your art guru, Chitradevi. Then here we have Lalita right here, and then behind Lalita Sakhi we have Roop Manjari, and in the back this is Sudevi and Rangadevi. You can see in the back,
Yeah.
two sisters. They're twin sisters, Sudevi and Rangadevi. Then we have in the pink here, that's Vishaka Devi. And I was fortunate enough to like draw this little bindi on her. And then we have, of course, Radharani. And if you just see, like, you know, she was speaking how she spent so many hours. You just see, this is zoomed in, but this painting is not so big. But just the detail in her dress, all the designs, and the thought that went behind. Whenever Didi sees anything, she sees everything with this artist vision, and then she would take pictures of beautiful gopi dresses and lehengas, and then get the designs from there. Even with Krishna and his turban, she got people to pose, and each thing, like I remember when she was painting these fingers of Krishna's. It was really interesting, actually. Let me finish introducing everyone. Then we have Vishaka Devi in the pink, and of course Rati Manjari right here. And then in the front here to the right, this is Champakalata dancing in this mustard color. And then over here, you can, in the back, this is Guru Manjari. And you can see that her features are similar to her other painting with the Seva Kunj. Right behind here, that's Guru Manjari. And then in front is Indulekha. Okay, so that's Ashtasakis and 4 prominent Manjaris. So I was gonna share that.
Where's the flower you made?
Flowers. So I made these roses. So it was really
Oh.
funny. These roses in the garlands, you see the red
Yeah.
roses,
Yeah.
pink, red, like in the middle. So these, and then these are champa flowers, the white and yellow. You see the small in the bushes. You see that? So I worked on those, and I remember when I started working on them, because I mean I've always liked art. I'm not an artist or anything, but I've always just liked art, and as a child I used to like painting. So I asked Didi, can I do anything? And then she asked me to show her one flower. That was my interview or audition. And I made one flower, and she liked it. She said, "Oh, good, now you can make it." And then that was the only flower that was good. And after that, every flower I made, I think I was like, "Oh no, Didi, I know." She would be like, "What is that? A spider web?" She's very hard on you as well, like brutally on. No, that looks like a spider web. What are you doing? And then I would tell her, Didi, I know you're regretting, hiring me. She said, now I'm stuck with you. So, and each of these flowers would take.
Sukadev is on her hand.
Oh, of course, yeah. Let me. So, she would. So each flower Sachin just reminded me I have to show Sukdev Goswami on the parrot on Radharani's hand. So let me just quickly do that. So there's Shukadev Goswami. And even just getting Shukadev Goswami to look like that with a smile, I just know that just the thought that went behind that and the time it took, because before Shuka was looking angry, and I remember telling Didi, I was like, oh, he looks angry. So it took many hours to get that expression perfect. So each flower would take me a long time, because we're working on like this 2-3 millimeter square area. So it would take me so long sometimes, and then we're working side by side, so my body's like like tilted, and so my back would just be like gone. So 2 to 3 hours for one flower. And you just imagine, she's 76 years old, and I'm 30, 32, and here I am complaining about my back. And Didi, all day she would spend, she would wait. This is not an art, actually. This is not an expression of art for Didi. This is worship. This is her drawing or trying to illustrate Gurudev's heart.
Sadhana,
It has,
actually.
it's her
That is her
sadhana.
sadhana.
Exactly. And getting everything right. I remember because Didi would be very she changed, like she mentioned, she kept changing dhoti. There's 12 dhotis under that one dhoti. She changed so much that, and every time I saw it, I'm like, Didi, it's perfect, don't change. And we would be pretty hard on her as well, like, that's it, Didi, get. And I, when she was here, I would be a little like, like, okay, it's time for you to get up, get, have a walk, have a break. And even with the changing, I would say, that's enough, stop now, no more changes. And she would sometimes listen, like, yeah, you're right. And then, but no, she would change again. So I realized, and then towards the end, we had already finalized the date that she would reveal the completed painting. And we actually had a big event here in Houston for the like finish painting is finished. This is her, it was a very like big occasion, because it's her last painting that she spent 10-11 years on. So we organized a big event, and we actually invited some people in the art world, and um, a lot of people actually came from outside of Houston as well for this event. And so we had fixed that date, but here Didi was not even close to being finished. She kept changing, but this event was where people are going to buy G clays, people are going to, it has to be finished. We have to, even just the process of getting it scanned, then get the G clays printed. It takes 2-3 weeks. So she had to finish at least 3 weeks before the painting. So then I made this schedule for her in her diary. We identified together what all on the painting is incomplete and requires completion. It was like, okay, Krishna's left hand, Radharani's left hand, Shuka's face, Champa's, peacock feathers, some faces, Krishna's faces. But there was like literally like 16, 17 different things that needed completion on the painting. So then I made a timetable for her. And I said, Didi, you're going to follow this. Okay, we have to finish now. So each day, 2 hours on Krishna's hand, 2 hours on this, 2 hours on that. So I made this whole timetable for her, and I said, you have to. And then I said, Didi, at end of each day, then report to me, tell me what you've finished. I want to hear like that you're keeping on your schedule. I think that worked for like 1 day or 2 days. And that's it. It was like that was completely thrown out. And she was staying at our temple, and then I would come to the temple, and I would see that nothing is like this. She has she has not only a mind of her own, but this is not the logical thing that I had thought it was. Logical. She's gonna use her her organization skills to split her time and then to make this painting with her paint. That's what was my interpretation. But the reality is, Didi said to me, they come when they want to come. They come when when they have a desire to come. So it's not that she's making it happen or she's painting them, but these personalities come, and when they come, they communicate with her. So she operates not on this level, she operates on a different level. And then, to that point, I want to share one video. She'll probably kill me for this, but one night I was at the temple and I noticed that I had, where is that?
You are letting your secrets out.
Yeah.
Good.
I noticed that it was one evening and she was just standing there talking to the painting.
Oh, wow.
Kahan gaya? I just put it on my computer to. Okay. So yeah, I just noticed that, and I came, and she was completely alone, and I came close to her. She didn't even realize that I was there, and I was trying to hear what she's saying. So let me share that. Sorry, it's just kind of loading because it's a video. Session, is this loading? Can you just check? Like this video. Okay, let me just try and share that 1 second. Okay, I think you can see it, but it's not playing. No, it's shared on the screen.
And that's because you're in photos. You need to go to.
Try to download it, or
It's where did you download it?
it's in my photos. Let me.
Click on.
Oh, okay.
Hold on.
There we go, and then. Okay, so
Can you hear it, Prabhuji?
I think
Yes.
yeah. So this is in our temple. She was staying at the temple and she would paint in the big temple room, and I came up kind of next to her. She didn't know I was even there, but I had noticed for some time, even before I started recording, that she was already talking to the painting and talking to some people. And so I just took a little video of that. Okay. So I know it's not audible, but she was very much having this conversation. So, and then she's told me many times that, like, oh, no, they have given me permission. I think I shared this with Ajay Prabhu one time. I said she made a promise to us that she would not change again, because it was like a day or two before the festival of the ceremony, and she wasn't supposed to change the painting anymore. And she promised us she won't. She said, I will not change it anymore. Then what happened is that she changed it the next day, and I said, what? You promised us that you wouldn't do it. And then she said, oh no, they gave me permission. The Guru Varga gave me permission. So this, I'll share some pictures. Actually, this is all the pictures I could quickly find, but it's no, 10:30. So we
Yeah, make them
this is
big.
Didi at our house. I don't know if I can make it bigger.
This is Sachin?
This is Sachin, yeah.
Okay.
This is Didi at her home, and she, I guess she was just answering our questions, and just giving us instructions. And then I just saw this picture. Didi is ready at any moment to start speaking. you know. Anyone asks her, come on this program or come live, this, that, please speak about Prabhupada or whatever, she's ready at any moment. She will drop whatever she's doing. And this was just one of those days that, you know, we were at the temple. She just, you know, we got out and here she was. It was, I think it was really hot, blazing sun. She just sat outside and she started speaking Harikatha. What else do we have? Okay, this is another. So we made this professional video. Again, Didi just on the spot can start speaking about anything and everything because she's a storehouse that has all the material inside of her. And then this is one example of a million where this devotee, he's not a devotee, he's just a random guy that made the video. She started preaching to him, and you know, he was so happy and took so many paintings. And again, this was after the completion. This is the original painting. After the completion, someone asked her to make a video to show the to explain the painting. She was so tired. She literally had finished painting. She was so tired. She collapsed after this for days and days. She became very unwell, but because this was asked of her, she sat and she made this video. And this video is actually on YouTube, and I encourage everyone to actually go on her YouTube. It's just Syamarani Dasi, and this is one of the first videos. It's explaining this whole painting. It's a 30-minute video where you can actually learn everything about this painting in depth.
Where does she keep all the originals which she made, like this one?
So this is in Florida, huh? It's a secret. That's what he's saying. I don't know. I think she keeps it in a very safe place, and she has a bunch of originals, especially from like Srila Gurudev's, all his times. And one day, I mean, they have plans of doing some art shows and things like that. And one day, you know, they are for sale at the right price. You know, we were talking about this painting, how it's worth millions of dollars actually, and one thing she said is that, okay, if I get $1 million for it, her idea, what to do with that funds is to print many more books and art, and then distribute that to everyone, because that was Gurudev's, Srila Prabhupada's and Gurudev's desire, that everyone should have this art, because they're windows to the spiritual world. So let's see. I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't know how much time we have, Prabhu. There's just with Didi, it's just like I can literally talk for hours. Her humility, oh my gosh, I have not met anyone like with the kind of humility she has. She will get down at this age and do Dandavat Pranam fully on the ground to even like a child that comes in front of her. And it's just, you know, you cannot there's just no words to explain that humility, you know. She's just, yeah, so humble. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of material out there. I think if anyone has a opportunity to have her association, this, I mean, she's in India right now, she's in Vrindavan probably till the end of the month, end of August. I think it's just
23rd August, she said.
23rd. Okay, yeah, right after Baladev, I think she's leaving. So this is such a golden opportunity, and she gives so much love and affection and instruction, perfect instructions to everyone, and somehow engages everyone, brings them, you know, into Srila Gurudev's, service. So I think, you know, being with her is probably one of the most cherished things, certainly in my life. And she's just like an angel to me. Since I was 12, she was one of the first, you know, guardians, and till date, she's a guardian angel in my life. And anyone who comes to her, she just has so much. She's this treasure chest, and each jewel is a chintamani. Each jewel is chintamani, and she's filled with that. because she's given 56 years of her life, all her energy in the service. And this is very aspirational for all of us, and we can only think like, oh my god, how many thousands of lifetimes may it take to become like that, even a drop of that kind of bhakti. Even while she eats, she's hearing katha. While she goes to sleep, her katha is, she has a tablet, she calls it Sweetie, and it has all the lectures. So when she lays down, she's hearing. When if I ever get to massage her, she's hearing. She's eating, she's hearing. Anytime she's either chanting, hearing, speaking katha, that's it. That's Didi is complete. She's like this seva machine. Yeah. So that's Syamarani Didi's glories. I mean, of course, we can all keep going, but I think we can kind of conclude there.
Yeah, I just want to say 2-3 things from what she spoke. She said about Gurudev's words, when you are equal in all sentiments, then you will know when and where, what I'm doing. So to know Gurudev, like we hardly know him, all of us actually, because we are so much minuscule part of his. So we don't know what he's doing. So Gurudev is saying, when you're equal in all sentiments, then you will know when and where, what I'm doing. And then next statement Gurudev made, if bhakti will touch your heart, then you will see Chintamani and Golok Vrindavan everywhere. Your heart will be Sachitananda. Always remember Krishna's pastime. So how to do this? Always remember Krishna's pastime. So this is like you will see Chintamani everywhere. It's amazing. I mean, imagine seeing Chintamani everywhere if your heart is always in Krishna's pastime. And then she talked about pushing Gurudev's will through her will. She said, I have to push my will, yeah. And Gurudev asked her, can you paint my heart? So she has painted Gurudev's heart actually for all of us. And look at the details which Gurudev described to her, the dimple on the elbow even, as if he has just seen everything, all detail himself, and he's telling. So Gurudev is into all those leelas and he has seen personally and he's describing every bit of it. Even posing for the paintings, how like he's just seen yesterday or maybe a few hours back. And then lastly, she said, even Brahma and Shiva cannot see them. Gurudev told her, the door is small. And Gurudev told her, you want everyone to see so easily. Even Brahma and Shiva cannot see these leelas like this. So how fortunate we are to come in contact with such a guru who is taking us to such high levels of ecstasy in terms of bhajan, bhakti, in so many leelas which Didi has presented. So it was really nice of her having, and Haripriya Didi has worked personally with her and she explained so beautifully. And I think she said she can go for hours. We heard only maybe 30 minutes. So there's so much more to her in her life. If you want to know, as she said, we can go and meet her personally. This is, big opportunity actually to meet such elevated devotees, even if you get for a second. So I encourage all people who are here and who want to advance in bhakti should meet her. She's in Vrindavan, and at least they should take her darshan and offer their pranams and whatever seva they can do. It will be really nice for our betterment and advancement in bhajan. So tomorrow also, I think Haripriya Didi will host another. No, tomorrow we have Tarun Krishna Bindu Didi from Houston. Haripriya Didi city only. So they'll be with us. Tomorrow is Ekadashi also. Kamika Ekadashi. We'll all follow Ekadashi and we'll again meet at 8 p.m. Thank you, Didi, so much for beautifully hosting this program. Thank you all the listeners for listening so patiently. And I thank Didi and Vasanti Didi also, and for their presence and taking all the time to speak to all of us. Thank you so much. Shri Guru Maharaj ki jai, Anant Koti Vaishnavand ki jai, Gaur Bhaktavand ki jai, Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Gaur Premanande Hari Hari. And I thank Sachin also for helping Haripriya from behind. Thank you, Sachin. Hari